Cornerstone Gundog Academy. Online resources to help you train your retriever.
Welcome to the Build From Here podcast. On this episode, I'm so excited to be introducing you to CGA member James Rousse. And James is an incredible member who has put a ton of work in with his dog, completed the full course, 52 plus, which is the complete retriever course, and really is just passionate about his dog. And so I'm really excited to hear his story, let you hear his story, and celebrate his success and win along the way. So without further ado, welcome, James. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to get this thing started. I know we talked about it in the past, and now we're finally able to get the ball moving. So definitely excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, so glad you're here. And man, it's just, again, it's an honor to be, anytime we get to celebrate members. And for those that are unfamiliar with Cornerstone, why we're so passionate about our members is our members really, they want to have a great waterfowl retriever. They want to have a great hunting dog, but also a great family companion. And if you've ever tried to train your own retriever, then you've probably been overwhelmed, because we all have, right? There's a lot of information out there. And if you ask for advice, it leaves you feeling oftentimes more frustrated than before you ask the question. You might've been frustrated before, but after you ask the questions, you get frustrated, right? Because there's too many conflicting opinions. And so that's why I get so passionate about Cornerstone members, is they cut through that confusion by trusting Cornerstone and following the courses. But not only that, what I get really passionate about is, right, they face every challenge with a smile, right? Because dog training is not this straight road of easy success. This is something that requires patience, endurance, dedication, and consistency. And it takes a special person to exhibit those traits. And so anytime we get to have someone on like that, that's exhibited those traits, it just gets me excited, because that makes it worth it for us at the end. I was telling you, James, before when we were on the call, I love training my dogs, and I get a lot of value and reward out of that for myself, being able to say I did that. But I get even more excited when someone like you has successfully trained their dog using the labor that we put into it, and it means so much to us. So thank you for doing that, and I'm just excited to have you here, man. So that said, where did your journey all start? Where were you passionate about hunting, or actually, let's even go further back. Where did you grow up? And let's get a little background on you, where you're from and all that good stuff.
Yeah, sure thing, man. So I'm from a small town called Cutoff, Louisiana. I haven't lived there in some time now. I still go. My family's still there. But nonetheless, grew up with a rod and reel in my hand and a shotgun and rifle, just hunting, fishing as just a way of life down there. People do it, and just something that my parents, my relatives, everybody instilled in us. And we just hit the ground running with it. Met my wife and ended up putting our roots down here in Schriever, Louisiana. So we're on the southern end of Louisiana, southeast end. But yeah, it's still a way of life where we are now, and just led me to into the retriever world. I always wanted a retriever. My parents, they got me a beagle because they said no big dogs in the house. And then I discovered the Boykin Spaniel, and that's where we are today. I got a Boykin Spaniel from Grove Hill, Alabama, and nice. Now this little guy's like a rocket.
Man, those Boykins are awesome. They're full of energy, and I just love their demeanor. So when you said, what led you to the retriever ultimately? Did you see a retriever out in the field, or you had just seen it on the internet? What made you say, yeah, I really would love to have a dog?
So hunting over somebody that had a retriever, whether it was a guided hunt or with friends, seeing the work and seeing the level of relationship the owner or the handler had with that dog, it was amazing. And wow. The dog would go and retrieve things that I didn't even know. I thought the bird fell somewhere else. And the next thing you know, the bird is across the pond and the dog has it in its mouth. And I'm thinking, no, that dog's never going to find it. And when I saw that, I was like, that is awesome. I want to be part of that. And it just led me down the road, and came across Cornerstone on social media and was like, hey, what's this?
Man, that is cool. Well, we'll jump to that here in just a second, but what was your first memory of hunting, or is there any memory that stands out to you about the outdoors in particular that's or is it just the collective as a whole? You just liked it all?
So I think my first time was, Rabbit hunting.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was like the easiest way to do it. You didn't need a boat and didn't need anything. Just find some briar bushes and give it a kick and jump in it if you're willing and see if something runs out. So yeah, I think rabbit hunting I remember all my friends were hunting way before me, and I was like, always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So my dad one morning said, "Hey, I'm going to come pick you up from your friend's house. We're going to go rabbit hunting in the morning." I was like, "That's awesome." Did not
Wow.
sleep at all. We went and ended up killing my first rabbit, first time I've ever hunted, and that stuck with me ever since.
Wow.
And then just going on hunts with everybody in my family and just being around it just made me dive deeper into it and had a strong passion for it ever since.
That's awesome. Does your whole family hunt, or just your dad, or how does all that work?
So my dad hunts when he can,
Yep.
when he can, and my two other brothers hunt. My oldest brother doesn't, but for the most part, the guys mainly hunt. My sisters do not.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of the same for my family. It was really just mine and my dad's thing, and my sister. I think she went on one squirrel hunt, if I remember correctly. That was about it. Yeah, that I could recall. She liked to fish and all that, but that was definitely not her thing. So the Boykin, what led you? Was it a Boykin dog that you saw in the field the first time, or you just decided the Boykin was the way to go for you?
So actually, it was a Labrador Retriever in Chesapeake, and I saw how hard a Chesapeake worked. And I was like, oh, I want one of those. They're just a big, tough, resilient animal. They'll run through a brick wall for you. Nothing against the Lab. I just saw the intensity of that Chesapeake. However, I was also kind of in the mindset like my parents. I did not want a big dog running around. I had beagles growing up, so I was so used to that drive from them and a smaller dog. And I was just kind of looking for something that was good family oriented, something not too big to be inside. And I came across Boykin Spaniels one day and started reading about them. It's like, man, these little things, they look very pretty. And they look like they work really hard. I watched some videos on YouTube and Facebook, and I was just like, these little things are some machines. Like, I'd like to give it a go. And I didn't know what I was in for until I actually bought a Boykin. Did all the review on them, but mainly my wife is what sold me on the Boykin.
Nice.
She waited till after we had a party for her father, and the next morning she waited until I was a little hungover. And she's like, hey, what do you think about going to Grove Hill, Alabama next week? I'm just like, where's Grove Hill, Alabama, first of all? And she's like, well, that's not important. And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, and she put a picture of a dog in front of me. And I was just like, I said, I don't know. We just moved into the house. We're probably here maybe a year, year and a half. And I was just like, I don't know. I said, I kind of like the freedom right now. No responsibility. We can get up and go do whatever we want. And I was like, I don't think about it. She goes, well, I already put a deposit down. We're going next weekend. She goes, you don't have any plans, right? I'm just like, I guess I have plans to go to Grove Hill, Alabama. And that was definitely the best decision she's ever made for me.
Dude, that's so cool. Wow. Yeah. So how was, when did you find Cornerstone in the process then? And you weren't even thinking about having a dog at this moment. It sounds like it was kind of thrust upon you.
Yeah, so I saw Cornerstone just from playing on social media one day.
Yeah.
And social media is weird. It picks up. I guess it's listening to our conversation right now, honestly. There'll probably be a post about Cornerstone on one of my feeds when I get off of this podcast. But I saw it just scrolling through Facebook. I'm just like, that looks pretty cool. And I'm a person that I like being responsible of the results if I'm putting into something. So I was like, this would be definitely in my alleyway. But before I lean towards the Boykin, this kind of answers the question. I'd already reached out about Cornerstone, what was it like beforehand? So I had an idea of it after I saw it because I wanted to get a German Shorthair Pointer, mainly because I liked how they looked. They had a good drive to them, and no one also wanted a dog in the area that nobody had. Everyone has traditional labs down here, and I just wanted something different. And the GSP just wasn't my route. And the Boykin Spaniel ended up being that way, and I'm pretty set on that dog moving forward.
Yeah, those Boykins. I mean, GSPs are great, but Boykins and Labradors are pretty cool. So you already were familiar then. So you already knew that we had a course that would help you learn to train. What's your story there? Were you thinking of training your dog yourself, or were you thinking of sending it to a trainer? It sounds like maybe you were already thinking about training it yourself because you had already obviously done a little bit of research.
Yeah, so I was thinking about doing the training all on my own.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to be responsible for the results. And, I've seen bad reviews about people sending them to a trainer and the dog wasn't responding properly when the handler came, or the handler had setbacks, or some dogs had some different levels of aggression when they got them back. And I didn't want that. Granted, down here, there's dog trainers everywhere. So you hear nothing but positive results as well. But I just wanted to be responsible for my own results and see what I'm capable of doing, especially for the fact that I'm not a patient person. I want results immediately. So it was more of a process for me to learn, not the dog, the whole way through it.
Nice. Well, so let's talk about that, because this dog training journey requires patience. How did all that go for you?
So I believe a man is as great as the woman that's standing with him or beside him. My wife definitely kept the patient level to an all-time high. And then I realized just through research and all that, Boykins don't respond well to negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Even if they do something completely wrong, finding a way to take a positive out there and not typically rewarding the dog, but making it almost like a positive negative result, as we learned in the training program. But really having my wife hold me accountable as a handler and say, maybe it's not the dog, maybe it's you, dial it back something. And that kind of helped form a level of patience there. Like, hey, the woman I love's telling me something. I better listen.
That's funny you said that. I've heard somebody say that recently too. And it's typically when you listen to that woman that's beside you, that can go well for you.
Yeah, I think honestly, in some situations, she was a better handler than me. I'm just like, wow. Maybe I need to take notes on what she's doing.
That's pretty cool, though. And being humble like that and listening and paying attention, I mean, that's clearly served you well. So it sounds like y'all have done this together as a team. Did she do the training too? Did y'all both go through the course together?
Yes, from day one, she was by my side through every session.
Wow.
Didn't matter if she worked late. She would literally ask me, hey, hold up, I want to be part of this. Didn't matter if the mosquitoes were coming out. Wow. She wanted to be part of every session. And I'm glad she was, because it helped shape both of us into better people, and just build a relationship with our dog we never thought we'd have before. Like, I had beagles before, and training them was nothing compared to training a retriever. Yeah. And just the relationship I formed compared to the relationship I had with animals in the past was completely different.
Wow. So how old is your dog now?
Benelli, he'll be 2 in May. Yeah.
All right.
Knocking on the door of 2 years old.
2 years old. That's awesome. And y'all have completed the course. That's amazing. Y'all have breezed right through it. And it sounds like together as a team, y'all have made it happen. You've got that strong bond. Well, describe that bond. What would you say, describe what you'd say the bond looks like between you and your dog and also your wife and the dog as well.
Sure. Yeah. So our bond's intangible. It's hard to put something physical to explain what it is. It's something that I'd probably never even have with a best friend. Wow. Just when you look at them, you just see loyalty and trust no matter what. It's like integrity as well, and making you the best version of yourself. Like, I started thinking, like, I want to be the version that my dog sees of me because of that. And my wife would always, okay, you maybe shouldn't be raising your voice right now. I mean, look how your dog's responding. I'm just like, you got me there. And whether it was a work-related issue or just something that upset me that day, she was just like, think of how your dog would respond, or put that in her training perspective, for that type of outcome. And just seeing, being able to be there with my dog through anything. And the training program was actually kind of a crutch in sometimes, because my wife and I had 2 setbacks last year, and we had 2 miscarriages.
Oh, man.
We used the training program as like fuel to kind of help get out of that situation, or those when we were going through it, just, hey, let's go train the dog. If we didn't pray about it, we went train the dog. And
wow.
And so I think that helped shape the bond greater than anything, because we got to see him enjoying his time out there and just driving in any little thing we'll do. And when he would come back to you and just the look in his eyes, like, you could just, it's something that, like I said, it's intangible. You can't put it really in perspective, really. Now the bond with her, he protects her in every way possible. Like we're
cool.
expecting right now, we have a baby due in August.
Congratulations.
We just made 25 weeks. Thank you.
Wow.
And I can't even hug her. He's so protective over her. If I go to hug her, he steps between us. And I guess because Boykins have that Chesapeake in him,
Wow.
he just stares at me like, don't touch my mama.
Dude, that's cool. Wow, man, that's a powerful story there, and I appreciate you sharing that too. And it's amazing how and it's cool that you and your wife, as challenging as that was, are able to maybe grow together closer too, and found something that y'all could both do and spend time together doing. That's a beautiful story, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad the program was a way to help as well. People always turn to things, and I'd rather use this as my type of addiction.
Yeah, amen. It's an expensive addiction, but it's a worthy one, and it's good for the family. I'll say that.
Yeah, we ended up with 3 Gunner kennels for one dog. So yeah, each vehicle and one to sleep in.
There you go. Yeah, shout out to Gunner. They got some great kennels. We love them. We've been with them for a while, but clearly you love them too, or you wouldn't have ended up with 3.
That's right. Yeah. Whenever I saw a slogan like "You don't love your dog if you don't have a gunner," I'm just like, crap, you got me there. It's like a diamond commercial. Like, you don't love your wife if you don't buy this diamond for her.
That's right. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to go pull out the checkbook and go with it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're like the Yeti coolers of the dog kennel world, in my opinion.
No question
Just an opinion,
about it.
not speaking for Gunner.
Yeah. Well. We love them. Well, let me ask you this. So was this your first dog you and your wife's first dog to ever train? Did y'all train any dogs before, or have you trained any dogs before, or her?
So the first dogs I've ever had were beagles,
Okay.
and training them were completely different.
Yeah.
Just kind of exposing them to scent trails and putting them in bushes and stuff, and kind of letting them run and use each other for training. It was almost like a pack mentality. It wasn't that difficult.
Yeah.
But for us, this was our first dog together, first training program ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this was the first time we ever went through an actual training program. What was great about it was like a guided course rather than going look at YouTube videos and trying to create your own, or spending a whole bunch of money and sending them to a trainer, and just having a dog under our roof every day was awesome. I don't know if I can send my dog for 3 months at a training course. That's just me. But people do it. They get great results. I'm not knocking that at all. I support them as well. But yeah, so that was the first time we ever trained a dog. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's so cool. That's so cool. And we were talking earlier, and it sounds like you've done some pretty big retrieves with this dog and found some pretty solid success.
Yes, yeah. So in the beginning, I think it was week 10 and 11, we ran into obstacles with him not wanting to go to place. Mm-hmm. Granted, we were doing that in 115-degree weather, and he just did not want to respond. I went as far as buying a tent for him with a fan blowing on him, a little mister and everything going on, and he just did not want to respond to it. We took that training indoors. I actually reached out in y'all Facebook Messenger profile about both of those weeks, and I was like, look, I took the training indoors, and he did phenomenal in that environment. And then the feedback I got was just focus on generalization. He may have some hurdles with different smells and everything when you go back outside. But I was just trying to find a way to have him win.
Nice.
And it worked for us. It definitely worked for us. But yeah, so the big win you were talking about, I sent him on a 250-yard retrieve one day. And he knocked it out the park. Granted, when he got back to me, he was definitely dead and sluggish. I had to use some encouragement to get him to come back to me. He was probably thinking, like, if you love me, do not make me do that again. But yeah, he went out there. He didn't hesitate, ran straight to where that bumper was, picked it up, brought it all the way back. And once he hit about 20 yards, though, he was like just dragging. And
I bet.
Yeah, when he sat on the place board, he had perfect form still. He was holding it perfectly. Granted, he was breathing heavy, but I was like, that is absolutely insane that I sent this dog that does not speak English 250 yards away, and he had to run 250 yards back to me. I mean, that blew me away. In that moment, I was like, this training is a lot greater than just a video I'm watching telling me how to read my dog's body language and everything like that.
Wow. I mean, there's a lot of golden nuggets right there, man. I mean, especially just just trusting the process, but also trusting your dog and seeing that big moment. It sounds like it surprised you that he did that good on a big retrieve like that. Was
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. Because it's like you don't know how they respond. Because I've seen him do great at 50. Then we moved to 100. He did well. We went to like 110, and it was like, whoa, he like totally forgot what he was doing. It's like, man. So 250, we had literally made the jump from 200. So I'm pushing it back 50 yards. So I think he can do it, and he did it. Like he did it right away. And I was just like that. We opened up. That was his second. That was his second distance that I sent him on that day. So he wasn't completely drained at that moment. But after that training, I'm just like, probably not work you. You might get a pulled muscle or something.
Yeah.
But no, it was he was young too. He wasn't even a full year yet. That was January 2024. So yeah.
Man, that is a spunky dog right there. Wow. Well,
those Boykins have so much energy, like a Red Bull.
Yeah. Constant, just all over the place, jitters. I love it. So you said you ran into some challenges. Let's address some challenges because, everybody, wants out there on social media land wants to present everything in the best light. But the reality is we go into this thinking that it's going to hopefully be smooth. But the truth is there's going to be some challenges that we face along the way. That's just what it is. They're just going to be there. And let me ask you this question too, before we address challenges. So going into training, since this was your first retriever to train, was there any thoughts in the back of your mind that was it kind of like, hey, we're going to try this and see how it goes? Or were you pretty confident it was going to work from the beginning? I'm just curious to hear for you.
Yes. So we the way we looked at it, we identified a good breeder first to make sure we weren't just buying a Boykin Spaniel. We wanted a dog that would also have field results as well. So we went in with that approach. So we found a dog. His mom was a great hunter. His dad came from a solid bloodline. So that was step one. Granted, he was the first dog that chose us whenever we went pick him up. So that was another feather in his cap because that showed that he wanted to be with us at some point at that moment.
Nice.
Then granted, all the little puppies wanted to be with you. He wants to see you give him one loving. But yeah, he showed the most interest, and he was also, for my wife's argument, he was the cutest one on social media. So that was the one we were going for immediately for. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why we selected him and went that route. But kind of went sideways on that question, but
no, that's cool. I was just curious, and it sounds like you were confident because of the breeding. I'm a big supporter in that, and we'll support anyone whether you have a well-bred dog or not. And the reason is it's possible to train any dog, but I think from a trainer's perspective or a new person's perspective, if you can stack the odds in your favor, you might as well do that because it's just better to make it easier on yourself. And a well-bred dog doesn't guarantee great results, but it does. Oftentimes, it makes things easier on you for sure.
Right, and another thing too is if he wouldn't have turned out to be a great retriever. Granted, he doesn't have a whole bunch of retrieves. We didn't do much hunting this past season.
Yeah.
But he did well whenever we sent him on birds, and whether it was dove or duck, he does a lot better with dove, probably because of his size.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I had confidence in him from day one, and something I didn't want to give up on. And if say he wouldn't have adjusted well, he would have been a really obedient house dog nonetheless. But we went in with the mindset that we weren't going to give up on him.
Yeah.
If he came from a hunting bloodline, he was probably going to have some drive in him. So we were going to try to push him to be his best, and that was our goal going into it. So that's what we framed it around.
I love that perspective and mentality. Because that's what it is about, right? You got to take this dog, and it's got this God-given natural ability, and it's our job to just bring the best out of them. Sometimes we try to force the dogs to be something that they're not, and you're better to work with their strengths because we all have strengths personally. Every human has strengths and weaknesses, and the dog's going to have strengths and weaknesses. And a lot of times people focus on those weaknesses too much. And when you start focusing on that becomes this downward spiral to where things just don't go like they could. But when you start focusing on the strengths and you make the strengths even better, sometimes those weaknesses will get a little bit stronger too, or they'll just dissipate some and they'll just disappear. But it's really about getting that focus right. So, man, I love that mentality. I mean, it sounds like, y'all got it figured out going through this process. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's to figure it out, it's one thing to watch the videos, but it's actually getting out there and do it. And when your dog's not listening to you, you start figuring out why he's not listening. And part of my wife's process in the beginning was, I had her videoing what we were doing so I can see if I was doing something wrong or where were we failing at? Was it were we going too long in sessions or things like that? And then after that, she was just kind of hooked. It just became second nature. That's something we did together. And then when those episodes happen, or events, if you will, that just was the driving home force. Like it's all of us together every time we're going out in the field. And it's even to the point she'll come on hunts with us just a video and see him do well.
Wow.
Because she's so proud of how happy he is when he does those things. And she is not a hunter by any means.
That is so cool, man. I love that. Wow. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just want to stop and ask a favor of you real quick. If you are enjoying this episode, let me know. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can be aware of any new content that we release. And also, just let me know of what you're thinking. Maybe there's something that stands out to you, or maybe you just have a thought and you'd love to comment. I can't wait to see what you put in the comments, and I can't wait for you to subscribe. So now back to the podcast. I mean, yeah, you got to be proud of your dog, especially when they're doing some big dog stuff. And when yours just approaching 2, can you imagine what your dog's going to be doing at 3 and 4 years old? Now that you've come to this place, the world's your oyster for this dog. You can continue developing them even more.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait. Like, I've always been one chasing whitetail deer in the fall and this winter time. And now with the little one on the way due in August, teal season in September, we'll probably put a lot more focus on staying home in the coastal marshes and crawfish ponds. So Benelli's going to be getting a workout this year.
That's awesome. Well, now it can be part of the whole family. All right, your little one's going to be able to play a role in this, and it's fun. And with my kids, they love, like, both Mercy and Joy, my little girls. They love going to see the dogs. Anytime I get home from work, that's the first thing they're doing. They're knocking on the basement door. Hey, let's go let the dogs out. Let's go let the dogs out. They want to go train the dogs and play with them. So you'll have that to look forward to. It's going to be, and especially with the base that you've got on your dog now, that's going to really help you too, because the dog's trained. So now you can spend extra time right with your family, and your dog will already just fit naturally in because it's already part of the family. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's at every family event. He's spoiled. He's going to have a little shake up when Camille arrives. But he with all those curly hairs, I see a lot of pink bows in his future.
Oh yeah. Just wait. You're going to tag us in that picture. We'll have to post it up on the social. That'll be cool.
Yeah, not seen in training.
It makes it even more fun. Well, did you run into any other challenges along the way that you want to share about, maybe to encourage some others if they've run into the challenges as well?
Yeah, so working in heat would probably be number one. We probably have 9 months out of a year that it's hot in South Louisiana, and it gets
humidity
miserable.
It's the worst I've ever experienced. It's crazy.
It's absolutely terrible. So finding ways to win. Like I said, I put a fan out there. I actually went by a pop-up tent for him, keeping his blind under there, keeping his fan cool, having a fan running in his blind. I mean, opening day for dove season, we were in the hundreds. And we went for opening day. It was foggy. It was just set up for a dog not to win. It was just hot, foggy, mosquitoes. It was absolutely miserable.
Man.
And I was like, that's when I knew my wife. Well, I always known she's loved me, but I knew she definitely loved me in that moment when she was sitting through that absolutely miserable weather.
Brutal.
And the birds just weren't flying. We got his first retrieve that day. It was a blind retrieve because I shot it behind his Momarsh blind, and that back end was closed. So, but he did well nonetheless. So heat would be probably number one. 2 was hand signals in the beginning. I had to find a way that he would win. If I was just sending an open palm for him to go over to his left, he would not respond. I think he was getting confused. Maybe I was holding, when I would send him back, maybe I was holding it too close in motion. Because I'm also got to think about it. He's a lot smaller than a normal dog. Yeah. He's a 34, 35 pound Boykin. So he's even smaller on the Boykin side. He's closer to the female weight. So I had to think about how was he viewing me? What type of perspective, if I get down on his level, does it look the same to him? So I had to incorporate both hands to send him left or right. And once I incorporated that, that's where he started winning, and that's what he knows now for sending him left and right. And that's kind of cool about the program. It teaches you, how does your dog learn? How does your dog win? And kind of tailoring that to the modules as you move forward. So those were two big hurdles. And keeping him entertained, mixing it up, making them creative. Boykins have a hyperactive brain. They lose focus quickly if you do not keep them entertained. And that was definitely something, not just going through the motions of it, just and the repetition was one thing, but finding ways to do repetition while making it challenging each task we did it. Because if not, he would do like 3 of them, and I can see he's starting to drift off in different in a different world. But just having the patience and having somebody to humble you, if you can't humble yourself in those moments, is a great way to do it. I think training with 2 people, my wife and myself, was great because it helped them when other people would enter the room or enter the environment. They were like, yeah, your dog can train with anybody here. It's like, wow. And I think that was part of it. Plus, our neighbors have dogs, and we would train in our backyard. We live on, it's almost an acre. We had about 32 acres behind us. We'd work them on with all different types of scents and smells, like coyotes, all those type of things. So exposing them to all those scents and having them work through it as a puppy. And we also live right off the highway. So the other challenge was having him not run to the highway with no shock collar on.
Wow.
So we would go pretty deep on a 32 acre property to prevent something like that from happening. And so, yeah, just, I guess, setting up outside boundaries too, because he would book it sometimes. And it was just like, this dog's never coming back. Like, he would just take off running. We have a 5 collar that tracks where he's at least. He is chipped, so if he decided to slip away completely, maybe we'd find him. He's a pretty dog, so I doubt someone would want to turn him over. Maybe they'd see this dog is absolutely wild because it's a Boykin Spaniel bouncing off the walls if he's not being used properly. So, yeah, just keeping him entertained because their energy level is insanely high. The summer heat or just Louisiana heat and humidity. Hand signals were pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And it's just, once I found ways to make him win, they weren't difficult at all. Patience as a handler, that is a big one. Because like I said earlier, you're teaching a dog that does not know human English, and just trying to find them to comprehend you. And I have a Cajun accent being from the South, so I don't know if that messed with him any, being he's an Alabama Boykin.
It might have. That's pretty funny right there. I love what you're saying, all of this really, but I love how you keep hitting on a central theme that we hit on in the videos, which is find a win, get a win. It's all about the win, right? And, training how we train differently than a lot of the world out there, right? Our goal is to train to where our dogs gets to do it. It's not a has to do it. They're doing it out of desire, right? We believe the desire is already in them. So why should we have to force our dogs to do something that they already love to do? Because if we're not preparing them and training them properly, then we're not, doing it right? If we're having to force them to do it, we're not doing it right. So, but a lot of that comes from finding a win, and you keep talking about that. So what was one of the early realizations of, okay, finding a win makes sense? Because you see people at all different levels that are still learning that concept. And even though it sounds simple, it is simple. It's something that sometimes we want to overcomplicate this whole training thing and think, oh, we got to do these big complex things. But in reality, it boils back down to, are you getting successful steps in the right direction? And are you getting wins? So was there a moment where that kind of like clicked with you? It's like getting a win every day is what matters.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. So, yeah, I learned that because I know some of the training for like a negative reinforcement without hurting the dog, giving not an aggressive tug on the lead, but enough to let the dog know, hey, you need to pay attention. Yeah. I learned if I pulled too hard, he would just completely shut down.
Oh, wow.
If I would scream at him like in a very loud voice, if he wasn't listening to me or something, I can basically just call that training over with.
Oh, wow.
There was times where like, I was just so frustrated, and that goes back to the patience. And I'll blame the heat of summer. Now I'll take full responsibility for it. I'm not gonna lie. I'd raise my voice super loud on that dog, and I saw him shut down, ears tucked, tail between the legs, sit and just sink on that place board. And my wife's looking at me like, that's on you. Don't look at me. And I'm just like, damn, she got that on video too.
That's
like,
funny.
I'm going to look like an absolute monster. Animal control is going to be called on me. I never laid a hand on the dog, but I'm screaming at him like a madman. And just so, looking in the mirror and realizing that this is a 35-pound animal. I'm a 200-pound man, 6'1". Like, I already have an intimidation factor with size on this little fella. So maybe back off, right?
Wow.
Ease
Wow.
up on him. So, my tone of voice mattered.
Wow.
Tone of voice and not being too aggressive with lead corrections. I'm glad like the program never really talked about using shock collars. They're great in dangerous situations. We live in a world down here where alligators are everywhere. Like there's situations if I'm going hunting like a local marsh and it's hot out, I'm not bringing Benelli. My wife would never forgive me if something happened to him.
Right.
And I would probably put myself on harm's way just to get him.
Yeah.
So I see why people use shock collars down here to definitely redirect their dog if a gator's coming to them. But then I would be scared at the same time. I'm not shocking that dog and the dog's thinking it's doing something wrong when it's really doing something right.
Right.
So just finding a way to win without using that type of collar reinforcement. And those were challenges because I saw how a lot of dogs responded easily to situations they weren't doing well once someone put that shock collar on them. And I viewed it as, well, if my dog's not doing well, if I'm tugging that leash pretty hard or I'm raising my voice to him, he'll probably do really bad if I use that collar. So that's why I stayed away from it. And it's just not how I feel my dog's going to have the best results. What works for me may not work for somebody else, given what their dog's tolerance level is. Those were ways that I found I needed to change it up. If not, I'm just going to create a dog that's terrified, probably of thunder, and won't do well with gunshots. And that would just negate everything we've worked so hard to do. That's just finding what made him not do well and not doing it.
Oh, that's a good point. And on the collar thing, I think it's a good point too. I think it actually will serve people really well, even if you are going to use a collar, to not use it for a period of time and to learn to get your dog to respond without it. Because if you can't get your dog to respond and listen and comply without a collar, you 100% don't need to be using a collar, because at that point you don't understand training yet. Once you can train your dog, and that doesn't mean your dog's not going to have these spells, like you said, some challenges. Maybe they don't listen. I'm not saying your dog's going to listen perfectly before you use it, but if you're not solid on your training fundamentals, and it sounds like y'all got there, then you definitely don't want to be throwing that on there, because, like you said, it'd be easy to make a mistake. And there's a lot of people that misuse that tool, because it's a powerful tool, and used wrong, that's not good. So I love that, how you're attacking from those different angles and getting those wins as well, because when you get the win, your dog trusts you more. And the way we talk about it in the course, and it's about that trust bank. You're either depositing or you're withdrawing. If you're depositing in the trust bank, meaning you are a good trainer, you set your session up right, and your dog is winning, then your dog's going to trust you more. If you do the amateur thing, what a lot of trainers do, they withdraw from the trust bank because it becomes more about them. Let me see what I can do by training this dog. And therefore you start testing and pushing your dog every session. And then at a certain point, your dog stops trusting you because you've pushed and you've tested too much, and you've basically withdrawn all your deposits. So there's that fine line and balance. It's okay to withdraw from the trust bank, but you need to make more deposits than you do withdrawals. And I'm all for pushing the boundaries, right? Because once you've generalized your dog, at a certain point, you got to know their breaking point. You got to know, like, okay, I can trust my dog in this situation, or I can't trust my dog in this situation. And the only way to do that is to put it to the test and find out. But you don't want to test day to day. You really want to train day to day and test periodically to find your dog at that level. And it sounds like y'all have done a really good job with that, especially between you and your wife working through the training together and kind of coaching each other up.
Yep. Her name spelled with 5 letters. So that's the quickest way I can spell accountability right there. She definitely holds me accountable.
That's awesome. Well, what's been your greatest moment, greatest memory with your dog thus far, or maybe you and your wife together and the pup, as far as training goes and turning it into something you're proud of?
All right, yeah. So my greatest moment would probably be his first retrieve because it was a blind retrieve. He retrieved
Oh,
a
wow.
bird in the fog that I shot behind him.
Yeah.
We weren't getting birds flying in at all. Probably because it was foggy. Dove couldn't see the ground. They were staying on the power lines and top of trees. So I told my wife, I said, just wait here with the dog. I'm gonna go walk, look at the tree line, see if I can flush anything out, put some type of bird in the sky. So while I was doing that, lo and behold, of course, birds are gonna fly right over where we were. They flew right over. I saw that. And then they started circling back. One left and one came back. So I shot at the one that came back and it fell right on the side of a canal.
Oh, wow.
And I told my wife, I was just like, hey, I said, send Benelli over to me. I'm going to just point him in the right direction, hand signal. Hopefully he follows it. I said, it's foggy. I saw where the bird fell. I knew where it was. It was like 25 feet away from it. It was not far.
Wow.
So she sent him to me. He was already shaking and crying, like in excitement,
Ready to roll
from the gunshot. And so he came, ran straight to me. I made him stay and heel. He is shaking like crazy, just looking everywhere. Of course, he doesn't see it. And the grass that fell in was kind of tall because it was on that canal bank. So I pointed in the right direction, hand signal, sent him back. He ran, and it kind of helped because the canal acted as a back border. I'm really glad he didn't jump in it because I cannot keep him out of water.
Yeah.
He ran straight up to it, and it looked like he was going to go in the canal at first, and his nose was down the whole time. And when that nose hit that bird, he just froze, lifted his head up, looked at me, picked it up, came running back to me.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was just like, this what it's all about. Like
Wow.
It was fantastic. That was our biggest win ever, just to see like we put in all that work, and we weren't completed the program at that point. We were at the end of it, probably in the late 40s.
Yeah.
But or maybe early 50s because I know it's 52 week plus. It's like 56 weeks total.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were right at that end of it. So yeah, it was just the environment was not set up for the dog to win, and he won.
Wow.
And that's why it was such a big win for us. I still have the shotgun shell and everything. That was the only shot I shot all day.
Wow.
That was the only 2 birds that flew near us all day.
Man.
We just packed it up and went home after. It was probably the best feeling ever, and just seeing his excitement. We actually, just to keep him entertained while waiting for a few more, we threw the dove out in the decoys with the spinners, letting him go run, pick him up, bring it back. And he was so focused because I put it on top of his Momarsh blind, and he kept wanting to try to lift his head up and look over the top to grab that bird. He was just so focused on it. But yeah, that was it. That's the only bird we killed that day, and he performed when he shouldn't have performed well.
That's awesome. And that's just a testament to your consistency and following the course and putting in the work, right? And that's why we train to that high level, because sometimes there's we do a lot of repetition, and there's a reason for that, because some conditions are never what you hope they are. And if you don't train to the level where they can't fail, then you will run into a situation where it runs off the rails. So that's amazing that your first retrieve was like that, as a blind retrieve. All odds were against you, and then absolutely did great. What did your wife get to see the whole retrieve too?
Yeah, she didn't get that great of a video of it, but she has it.
Cool.
It was amazing. I kind of wish she would have got it on camera of me shooting the bird too, because I felt like a badass. Like one bird flies over, I shot it, one shot dropped it, and the dog retrieved it. I was like, that would have been so cool for a little process. Granted, the next dove hunt I went on, I shot terribly. I missed everything that flew in. Benelli's looking at me like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this isn't what I remember before. You were one shot, one kill. This is totally different before. That's what he was thinking. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. He was thinking that he was doing something wrong because I'm not sending him. And I was just like, I'm sorry, buddy. Like, I don't know what it is today. I'm just off. But no, she was there. She was happy. We both kind of had tears in our eyes. And
wow,
it was amazing to see. It was fantastic. And it was like at that point, she was like, I'm coming on every hunt with y'all. This is awesome.
Man,
I even bought her a pair of waders, and she won't walk on water that she can't see through. So it's pretty awesome.
That's awesome, man. Well, so how does that first hunt compare to like your first session on week 3? When you actually start with a place board, some of that, if you look at those 2 days, they're drastically different, but there's also kind of a similarity, right? It's a new beginning of first. And tell me about kind of that contrast that you experience your first day training versus your first time hunting?
Sure. Yeah. So that first day training almost, if you will, sets the baseline of what your program or what you're going to get out of that dog from the beginning. Because that first day, it's 4 different little sessions. They're like 5 minutes apart, 3 to 5 minutes, with like a 5 to 10 minute break in the middle. Let the dog rest because it's very stimulating for them. But in that moment, it was just putting your dog on the place board with a whole bunch of treats and clicking it every time those treats hit their mouth, and just kind of stepping away back. Dog comes to you, then kind of hoping they go back to that place board, and the minute they go, you hit it, because everything's nonverbal in the beginning.
Yeah,
because you're teaching the dog like, hey, this is what's expected, and then you add those verbal cues to help them in the process and to show them like, hey, this is what's really expected. But teaching them nonverbal at first really shows them like, hey, this is the task. This is what we're going to do moving forward. And we're just going to throw some help in there to help you win every time. And then taking that place board situation of little dog wiggling his tail off because he's getting these little bitty diced up hot dogs, and then put him in the field where he's not necessarily getting a treat. He's doing it for a rub behind the ear and a good boy. It's just completely different because you go into it really nervous, and I'm a by the book type of guy. I create a spreadsheet for every week, and I was recording his sleep. I was recording everything, like how much time between each restroom break and what was the variance from last week and all type of things like that. I'm a little data nerd.
Oh yeah. But, that's awesome.
My wife was reading the log the other day, and it goes back all the way to that first training where it's just laid out, following week by week by week. And I was so worried about staying on that line. Like, hey, we just finished week 3. We need to go to week 4. Well, not necessarily. Week 3 can be a whole month if you need it to be.
Yeah.
And just realizing that sometimes it takes some time to win.
That's awesome, man. And I love like that contrast, but it is all that reward, right? Starting from the very beginning, we're teaching the dog, seek out reward, think for yourself. And I don't think there's a better contrast than your first hunt and the first session. We started with teaching the dog to think for itself, and you started your hunt with a dog thinking for itself, trusting you, but thinking for itself. And that contrast is just so cool. And to hear you say, you're tracking the reps and just enjoying the process, and that nervousness that you were feeling, that's something we all feel. And when we get our dogs out there, I remember, and I know everybody remembers this, right? It's the moment of truth. Did it work? Did it not work? Because you don't really get to put it to the test until that day. And so that's amazing that it just went so well. Build From Here is brought to you by Retriever Training Supply. Build unforgettable moments with your retriever and equip yourself with the tools to create a lifetime of joy and discovery with your dog. Retriever Training Supply offers the tools you need to train your retriever with confidence. To shop now, visit retrievertrainingsupply.com so that you can strengthen your bond, inspire new adventures, and train with confidence, knowing you have the right tools for your retriever. As we kind of wrap up here and just sharing your story, we'll have to have you back on. Maybe you and your wife we could have back on and have you guys share even more as you continue the training process, especially as the little one comes along. You can talk, once the little one's here, Camille, you can talk about how all that interacts and changes things. But, you shared so many good tips. What would be like one of your top 1 or 2 nuggets that you've kind of like held on to through the whole training that's really made the most sense for you? What's the 1 or 2 things you think about every time you're going out to train that helps you stay centered and focused?
I think about the excitement out of the dog once you take it from just the place board concept to this is what you do, this is how you have fun, and making sure that it stays fun for him. Just seeing how he thrives in whatever environment we'll put him in. And I think it's like the look on his face when you guys link up in eyes and you see how excitement is. Like you alluded to it earlier, when you grab a shotgun, I grabbed my shotgun to go turkey hunting. I don't remember if it was last weekend or weekend before. He threw a fit that I was leaving the house with the gun without him. And I was joking with my wife. I was like, he's a Boykin Spaniel. They were originally used to flush turkeys out of the swamps in South Carolina. I'm going to take him turkey hunting with me. She's like, absolutely not. There's rattlesnakes. I was like, that's fair. He wouldn't know what to do. But no, just seeing out of my top 2 things, it's the drive and excitement you see out of the dog, and just the relationship you create with them. Like in terms of social skills, luckily I was able to take him to work with me some days. It's an hour drive that helped with travel. So he spent 2 hours in a vehicle with me, just going to and from work, and just seeing how he responds in public with people. We'll take him to Home Depot Academy, and he's staying in heel, and he wants attention from everybody because as a puppy, we brought him into those environments when it was safe to do so. And, just seeing the excitement and just seeing how personable he is with people. And I'm not going to lie, he has anxiety issues. He's definitely attached to me.
That's awesome. Well, a lot of them do. Yeah. We get attached to these dogs. They get attached to us. What would be one thing is, I guess, the final question I have for you to share. And I always love asking this. What would be something you would share to someone in your shoes getting started, maybe to ease some of their concerns of because we all have the concerns coming into it, right? Maybe their question in the back of someone's mind, hey, I'm afraid I may fail at this. What if my dog doesn't turn out? Those are some real questions that people have, or maybe some feelings that people have. What would be something you would say if you had a buddy that was kind of, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You got a good dog. Is this something I should do? How can I know this is going to work out?
So basically, I would look at it through a perspective, because when you're training, you're going to face some level of adversity. That adversity is a privilege, and learn from it in those moments, because it's going to give you an opportunity to learn and develop, not only as a handler, but as a person as well. Because that dog's going to teach you things about yourself that you didn't realize. And it's going to make you look in the mirror on some days and say, hey, I need to be a better person, or I need to speak in a different tone, or things like that. I guess it's going to develop a level of emotional intelligence you didn't realize you needed. And people will be like, you're crazy. You're talking about a dog. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, it's a reflection of yourself, because you're the one putting in the work, and your work into that dog will help create that outcome. And it goes back to adversity. You're going to face those moments. How are you going to pick yourself up, or how are you going to fix this situation when it goes bad? So it's more than just a dog training moment. It's going to kind of help you navigate through adversity, and use what you learn from adversity, that it cultivates innovation.
Wow.
How are you going to find ways to win and take those nuggets, apply it not only to your training, to your everyday life. So I think the training goes beyond just a connection and teaching a dog to go get birds when we're fully capable of doing it ourselves.
Man, that's awesome, man. Well, it's been an honor to have you, and that nugget you shared is very encouraging, and hopefully anyone, even if you're in the middle of the training process, takes that to heart, right? That those challenges, I love how you said they're a privilege, right? The adversity you face is that opportunity to grow, and it's clear that you've embraced it. And as long as we're willing to embrace growth, as people, we'll do well. And man, I'm so excited for y'all. I'm so excited for your baby that's on the way. Excited to see this next chapter as y'all enter into that, and this next hunting season for you and your dog. I think it's going to be cool, and can't wait to see your dog in person and see that little spunky Boykin run around and get some photos and video of that dog. It's going to be cool.
That's right. Yeah, we'll have to make a members weekend for sure, and maybe next time if we make it out there, he'll come. He'll tag along with us. But yeah, man, appreciate the time, and I'm more than happy that I decided to go for it and do the 52-week plus program, and it's my selling point to everybody now. Whether you just want a dog that's excellent with obedience, or a dog that is going to do the unthinkable for you, it's, in my opinion, it's the best route to go.
Well, we appreciate that, man. And just again, we appreciate you, and it's an honor to have you on and people like you on this to share your story. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Josh. Thanks for your time. And like I said, y'all program goes without saying. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Build From Here podcast. To learn more about retriever training or our podcast, visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com/podcast.